Girivaradari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha, Jaya Girivaradari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha, Jaya Girivaradari. Jaya Yashodanandana, Jaya Rajajanarandana. Jaya Yashodanandana, Jaya Rajajanarandana. Jaya Yashodanandana, Jaya Rajajanarandana. Jaya Yashodanandana, Jaya Rajajanarandana. Jaya Yamuna Tiravanachari, Jaya Kunja Bihari. 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 Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Jaya Jaya Shri Caitanya, Jaya Nityananda, 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 Jaya Advaita Chandra, Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda, Jaya Advaita Chandra, Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda, Jaya Advaita Chandra, Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda, Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Glory to Sri Chaitanya Nityananda, glory to Advaita Chandra, and glory to all the devotees of Sri Gauranga Lord Chaitanya. Hare Krishna. So today we read from Sri Caitanya-caritāmṛta, Ādi-līlā, chapter 7. No, not chapter 7, sorry, Adi 7, chapter, I'm not sure the number, but it's entitled Lord Chaitanya in 5 Features, verse 22. Puna puna piyaya haya mahamata. Puna puna piyaya haya mahamata. Puna puna piyaya haya mahamata. Puna piyaya haya mahamata. Nache kanda hase gaya yache madamata. Kanda hase yache madamata. Nache kanda hase gaya yache madamata. Puna, puna, again and again. Piyaya, causing to drink. Haya becomes mahamata, highly ecstatic. Nache, nache, dances. Kande, cries. Hase, laughs. Gaya, chants. Yache, as if. Madamata, one is drunk. So, I didn't wait for you to repeat. Someone also wants to say this verse? There's so few of us. Puna puna piyaya haya mahamata. Nache kanda hase gaya yache madamata. Puna puna piyaya haya mahamata. Nache kande hase gaya yache madamata. So, translation. Srila Prabhupada. Sri Panchatattva themselves danced again and again, and thus made it easier to drink nectarian love of Godhead. They danced, cried, laughed, and chanted like madmen, and in this way they distributed love of Godhead. Purport. People generally cannot understand the actual meaning of chanting and dancing. Describing the Goswamis, Sri Srinivasacharya stated, Krishna Kirtan Gana Natana Paro. Not only did Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his associates demonstrate this chanting and dancing, but the 6 Goswamis also followed in the next generation. The present Krishna consciousness movement follows the same principle, and therefore simply by chanting and dancing, we have received good responses all over the world. It is to be understood, however, that this chanting and dancing do not belong to this material world. They are actually transcendental activities, for the more one engages in chanting and dancing, the more he can taste the nectar of transcendental love of Godhead. Puna puna piyaya haya mahamata. Nache kanda hase gaya yache madamata. Sri Panchatattva themselves danced again and again, and thus made it easier to drink nectarian love of Godhead. They danced, cried, laughed, and chanted like madmen, and in this way they distributed love of Godhead. Amakanyatamarancascha Jnanasalakya Chakshunamiltam Yana Tasmai Shkurve Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Statpatam Yana Bhutale Swayam Rupakramayam Dati Sapanirkam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadada Shiva Swati Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So I just repeat the verse especially for Eva. Shri Panchatattva themselves danced again and again, and first made it easier to drink nectarian love of Godhead. They danced, cried, laughed, and chanted like madmen, and in this way they distributed love of Godhead. Hare Krishna dear devotees, I was going to change slightly the lecture when I had a formal temple president and temple president's wife here, but now we have Eva. I will go back. It's a different topic. I prepared more for the ladies in ashram, of course. So this, the lecture today called The Dance of the Lord. What is beautiful about Sri Caitanya-caritāmṛta is that a lot of the purports and things that we're given are so relevant to now. Srila Prabhupada talks about the present Krishna conscious movement following the same principle. And as it is Gopunim in, when are we? 4 days' time, on Friday, and we talk of Lord Chaitanya. As I was reading through to try to find an appropriate verse, I came to this verse about dancing. I mean, often, of course, it's a lot about dancing, but I thought as we are ladies together, we can talk about specifically this dancing of the Lord, because we hear it more about Lord Chaitanya. We hear it also that as he is chanting and dancing, and not sitting there studying scriptures, people don't take him seriously, at least to begin with. Huh? There's different moments. And I wondered if we could go a little bit deeper into this dancing, this thought of dancing for the Lord, or the dance of the Lord. Srila Prabhupada says in a lecture, the 1st of March 1974, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu travelled on this street. Now still that memory is going to be revived by this Krishna conscious movement all over the world, because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted this. And part of this is the singing and dancing, chanting the Lord's holy name. If we understand dancing in the Western world, dancing, it is usually, I will learn and I will put on a show. Huh? The main part would then be me. Everyone is looking. Now, dancing of the Lord, it mentions here, this does not belong to this material world, this dancing. What does it mean to dance? I tried to find some verse. Actually, if you look up on the internet, most topics we can find some sort of lecture about. But dancing is not too much. There's not too much on this. But I did find something from Caitanya-caritāmṛta, where he writes, this dancing is actually meditation in its most profound, potent, and practical form. Usually dancing is a physical activity, and meditation is something where we go silently more deeper. But this idea of Sankirtan in terms of singing and dancing for the Lord is where we combine both of them together. And how we do this? So he writes, okay, engaging the body in graceful dance for the pleasure of the Lord, the body is engaged, and the mind in prayerful contemplation of the sounds of his holy name, especially the Maha Mantra, we transport our consciousness to the joyful realm of divine love. So when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared over 500 years ago, he revised and made it popular again, this dancing of the Lord. And when Srila Prabhupada came, our founder Acharya, it became popularized within our movement. Therefore, Harinams go on all over the world. And I wanted to talk about this topic specifically for those who have not been so long around, because the last 2 years of coronavirus has stopped so much this natural expression of dancing and singing for the Lord through Harinam. It still goes on. Oh, yeah, after with a mask over your face. Huh? So then, you know, and most people know if you speak a lot and sweat, it gets a little damp, huh? This mask. And in restricted numbers. Don't go out. Are you sure you want to go out? Harinam might be transcendental, but could get corona. You know, all this stuff, which was not of 2 years ago. And I come from London, you know. Mataji comes from Amsterdam. I want to speak about big Harinams. Not because of the number of people, but just imagine you are in the open area with hundreds and hundreds of so-called normal people outside. And then there are hundreds and hundreds of devotees. And somehow there is a kirtan. It could be Lokanath Swami, it could be someone else. And in a moment, as you engage your mind in a Hare Krishna mantra and begin dancing for the Lord, something happens. You are lost and you look up and you see all the other ecstatic devotees around you. Now for this last Nityananda Trayodashi, I saw all of the girls in the ashram, we were full at that moment, all dancing. Every one of you danced for the kirtan. And I also thought it's appropriate to talk now because in 3-4 days' time we have Gopunim. I hear a few more girls are coming in the next days. And to understand what it means to dance for the Lord. When I was a younger devotee, there was certainly a part of me that thought, it's a little bit frivolous. You know, do we really have time, you know, to dance? TP, so do I really have time to dance for the Lord? There's so many other important things waiting, things to be paid. So imagine they're dancing for the Lord. Why is it that it's important? And over the years, my Guru Maharaj always, His Holiness Sachinandana Swami, always encouraged me to dance. And over the years, when I saw someone, I asked questions about why to dance, why specifically dancing. Because especially if you read Caitanya-caritāmṛta, it comes up quite often about this. And there's even later on a verse where Lord Chaitanya says, through the chanting, the dancing comes automatically. But as we are not Lord Chaitanya, sometimes we have to begin in such a way. We begin to chant, and we learn a few moves, like the guru step, how do they call the guru? The Swami step, you know, and slowly we learn in this way. Practically, if we follow, for example, the example of Maharaj Ambarish, what you're trying to do when you are dancing for the Lord is engage all the senses in devotional service. So for example, the mind you set, meditating on the lotus feet of the Lord, the words you are singing, the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, the ears you are hearing, the singer who sings the first time. If you're in a temple room, your eyes can be set on the deity of Lord Krishna, here Lord Nrsimhadev. And there's also touch, funnily enough, touching the bodies of the Lord's devotees. That's also a devotional act in one sense to bring us closer. In this moment, if we joyfully experiment in this way to see if we can dance not for our own pleasure, but to dance for the Lord's pleasure, often something happens within us. They often said in London, and I'm sure in different places, that the best times to go out to dance were on Gopunim or Nityananda Trayodashi. It's also the weather is also milder, you don't have to go. And I was a Saturday night Harinam girl, so to say. That meant Saturday evenings, 8 o'clock in the evening, as you're getting ready for bed. That's when the Harinam crew gathers. I was asked to help to lead the ladies, so after a happy Gorati, Goes a little bit later, then outside the singing already begins. People are gathering, you wait, maybe 30, 40 devotees, that's a small night, and then you begin. And then it slowly starts. You do some quiet steps as you lead through. Already you see people are looking because there were some surveys in London amongst the top 3 of most famous things in London. One of them was the Harinam of the Lord. So there were like the buses, something London buses, something else, and the Harinam. The Hare Krishnas, they go out mostly every day, but Saturday evening is the highlight of the week. And then as the Harinam picks up, you also pick up tourists and other people gather. You begin with 30, 40, you can easily end up with 100 people as you go along. And and they go through the most famous and busiest places of London. If you know, you go through Trafalgar Square, Chinatown, all of these places which are filled with people. Trafalgar Square is a place full of nightclubs. So at this time on Saturday, it's full with so many people in so many states of mind. And there goes the Harinam. And people join in and people begin. Sometimes you even have, I don't know if I should say, but I will say it anyway. Sometimes in that ecstatic moment or that joyful moment where you are protected by the Mahamantra devotees, there are other antagonistic people outside which try to come. Like one time we were near going by a pub, and I was dancing as I usually do when I went, and then my friend pushed me aside, and she looked, she said, somebody just hit you over the head with a bottle, an empty bottle of beer. And I was like, oh, Hare Krishna, and carried on going, you know, because it was and I was like, wow, in a usual state of mind, if somebody does that usually, I'm a girl, maybe I would cry or it hurts or something. I didn't feel nothing. It was just away, and away we went, you know. There was another time where there was a group saying, no, you shouldn't do this. And the kirtan became louder and louder and louder. They're allowed to take a speaker with them. They take a huge banner, Hare Krishna Mahamantra. You have the Sankirtan devotees with leaflets, prasadam distribution, all going on at the same time. And it's all going on. And people know for now it's not that people are looking for some money or something. We're just trying to follow in the footsteps of Mahaprabhu, of Srila Prabhupada, and going out to deliver this Harinam. I was also in a Harinam by transcendental accident by Radhakund. There was a Swami giving class, and afterwards, and now we go in Harinam. And it was the moonlight was coming. It was a special night, I think. I forget what it was with the gopis. And we began a Harinam. And again, this was not tourists joining in. This was like, Hare Krishna, Jai Shri Shri Pralakshmana Shingadev. There was many devotees, especially Bengali devotees, just joined the Harinam. And when anybody joins something, one feels more and more joy, especially when it's a transcendental act. So this was how we were engaged in the Harinam. I came for the class, and then afterwards it became a Harinam. I thought, okay, let's join, and hopefully I find my way back home. You know, so these were moments which were a little bit taken away in these last 2 years of Corona. But again, it will not last forever. There will be opportunities again for Harinam, for big. Say on Ratha Yatra, that's a big, where there's also big processions. Also in Munich there used to be, in Passa we also had a procession of Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra, no masks, and we were able to dance for the Lord. Yeah, so that was the aspect of what I wanted to speak about, this dancing for the Lord being really a meditation that brings us closer to the Lord. If we are dancing or others are dancing and it draws attention, one can see it when it's Harinam as a manifestation of the Lord's mercy. If we're happy when there is dancing for the Lord and we can connect to it, then it's very amazing. Are there any questions or comments? Can you remember any glorious Harinams? Gita Govinda Mataji. Oh yes.
Thank you for your nice class, Gopi Gita Mataji. Yes, it reminds me of the glorious King's Days we had. Because of Corona, it didn't continue for the last 2 years, but it was so funny because then it was at the same time of His Holiness Kadambakanana Swami. He celebrates his Vyas Puja. He celebrated it always in Radhadesh. And the last day, like 3 days, 2 days in Radhadesh, And then the last day, always, we went with buses to Amsterdam for the King's Day. So he always arranged it in combination with the King's Day. And then Holland is really totally orange because the Holland color of the flag is orange, And then we went with big groups, the whole like 300, 400 devotees international who came for the Vyas Puja. We went all along to Amsterdam, and then everybody was in orange, And at a certain moment, some people around us thought, "Hey, this is a funny group," and then we were with 1,000 people. Everybody was joining. They thought we were this orange because of King's Day, and those were glorious Harinams, really, very glorious. That's what I came up in my mind, yeah. And with something else, it makes you mad. When you said something about you were dancing Saturday night, with the whole group, and then you went home, then I thought, oh, drunken mad. Yeah, that's maybe the other Matajis have some.
Thank you, Mataji. Yeah, these were big. We knew from here when in the years here, yes, this will be a big Harinam, Queen's Day, King's Day. Was it previously? King's Day, Queen's Day, yeah. And then they also stopped because of Corona?
Yeah, because of the Corona, we didn't do it for
2 years. One feels the difference, though. It's like festivals here had usually around 500-600 people, and at that time, say when the Lord was having the Lord's Abhishek was happening, in other moments, wow, the whole floor was shaking with the singing and dancing for the Lord. There's some videos also there, and of course I sound like it's like some distant memory, but it is something which one appreciates more when you can no longer do it. And I think in the future, be it this year or next year, it will begin again. And in those moments, we will also feel this joint association of other devotees coming together and to dance for the Lord. It's really a part which I want to put in. Also for shy devotees, I know one came and said, I could never dance when I was outside. I could never dance. But here I can dance for the Lord, she said. Here I began to dance. And I thought it was very nice. This dancing is not so much for the extroverts of us, or just, it's also for the shyer. Us extroverted types have to maybe hold it a little bit more back, at least when everybody else is a bit calmer. When everyone goes ecstatic, that one can dance more like, give it over to the Lord. One important aspect for me with this connection to the Lord through dancing is that in the difference to just chanting, it is very easy as we chant for the mind to wander and our thoughts to go in different direction. But when one is connected also through chanting, so one important part is always to sing when you are dancing. This is what one guru told me, my one Swami. He said, keep the holy name on the tongue while you dance. And as you know, when you're dancing, it's a little difficult to sing. But the main point is, if you cannot sing the Hare Krishna mantra when you are dancing, then you need to slow down a little bit, catch your breath, and learn it in a way that you can sing and dance. You are dancing and singing for the Lord. The singing is one of the main connections that brings us closer to the Lord. So that's the thing, that the main focus should be on the holy name. And as you dance, one can offer the movements and actions to the Lord. As we understand, sometimes as we are to perform a service, sometimes it's said for a service to complete at the beginning, we must offer our seva to the Lord, at the end, and also in the middle. So this is our process of our consciousness. And the last point that I thought was, try to connect the mantra with your movements. Let it be an offering to the Lord. So I was not, I learned some I went to dance schools, but not in a professional basis. But for example, there's moves that we do, which is often a flower, and you offer this over to the Lord. It's just a simple thing. And I often do it from the heart. So I offer now to you, Leah. So flowers from the heart. So it's like this. So this is what we say. So we can also be sing and like Hare Krishna. So it's like you're offering the Maha Mantra back to the Lord. So it's easier to dance here. When we have Gaur Punim, we are lucky the deities will be here and we can dance with space here. My difficulty always here was it's a little eng, it's a little tight, and one's a little bit close to the Prabhus, like in one sense. So it's a little. One feels a little bit this, but for festivals it's very nice because then we split up when we're over there and we have more space. Like for example in Soho Street, it's like, say the deities are here, so you have more space that you don't feel you're going into the other area. But at one point it's, so like this. Basically the importance of dancing for the Lord is just an element of adding another bow, say to the quiver of what we're offering in terms of devotional service to the Lord. So when we have an opportunity several times in a day to offer this dancing, so like this. So is it? Yeah. Yes, exactly like this. Yeah. It's perfect. No, it's perfect. It's exactly like this. And in moments we could forget this, right? We can forget, it's just a little bit of dancing or whatever, or do I have to? Like, I don't know about Amrita, but when I was in a position similar to you, I used to be, I'm doing my service in the office most of the day. You get sort of stuck there a little bit, yeah. And then I will go for Gora Aarti. And for the first 1 or 2 years it worked. I shut the door, came. And then more and more it happened that just as I was about to leave, Mataji, could you, okay, can it be quick, 5 minutes? Then the next one came, and then it was a little frustrating, and at one point I just stopped going. Maybe I finally managed for the end, Nishinga Dev Pranam. And then in that moment, so you lose your own, service in a different way. Don't get me wrong, that was also service. But I think something like dancing is also part of one's personal sadhana, one can see, or personal approach. And in spiritual life, we have to have a balance up between the things which are our duty and what we have to do, and those which can also revive us in spiritual life, if that makes sense, like this. And one should not be seen as more important than the other, I thought, because in order to be able to give to others in service, we also have to have and feel energized in our spiritual life. Eva, was denkst du? You're looking very thoughtful. Du siehst so dankbar aus. Sorry. Warst du einmal in eine große Harinam oder? In Slowakei, hä? Ja. Viele. Okay, ich will. So ich will das übersetzen, ne? Für die, wenn wir sprechen, ich denke, das gibt nur uns, aber manchmal jemand dann sendet einen Kommentar oder irgendwo oder schickt ein SMS und du denkst, oh wow, okay, das gibt andere Leute da. So I said I would just translate. So we have an audience sometimes who listens outside. So Eva was in a very big harinam in Slovakia for Gopunim, where the ladies were dancing at the front and the men at the back. And she also mentioned it was very nice to dance in a bigger group than just a few devotees. Yeah, one doesn't know why, but it's like, I mean, one can understand that the momentum of the devotees and that is brought more and more together when there are more when there is more congregational chanting and singing. There was in London, there were also Rathayatras with 3 carts, one for Jagannath, Baladev and Subhadra. And because it was such a big Rathayatra, you had different crowds of chanting. They also said in Lord Chaitanya's time, there were different groups of people chanting and singing, different parts. And I was in the crowd, it was quiet for a moment, and then again, they were like, Lokanath Swami's coming, Lokanath Swami's. And then I was like, okay. And in a moment, I mean, I don't want to exaggerate, but it was really like a flood of the holy name. And in a moment, it was like Hare Krishna, everyone's hands, it felt like we just started to dance. It was not even pre-planned. And you looked up and everybody was like this. We were just in this wave of the transcendental sound vibration. It's Hare Krishna, yeah. Yeah, I mean, really, sometimes we do exercises where we look back and we think of our most transcendental spiritual moments where we were most connected to the Lord. And when I think back, sometimes it's been here when there has been an ecstatic kirtan. Sometimes I think of the Harinam in London. I remember the Gopunim one time we were just 3 or 4 hours we were just dancing, and actually ever funnily enough less people went because 3 or 4 hours to dance non-stop is a long time, but you know I'm a little 10 years younger, but it was the ones who stayed at the end, we just were speechless. There were no words. One was just carried in the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. And when we look at those moments, our jewels in spiritual life, often these are moments where we understand that this is actually the real life. This is when we're really connected to the Lord. In the material world, they say, you know, when something happens, a good thing, like, I have to get back to the real world, which normally means the pessimistic, grey, back to work type feeling. But in spiritual life, we understand it's the exact opposite. In those moments where we really feel connected to the Lord, where we felt that joy, that deep connection, these were parts of the real life. Our real, not just spiritual life, but really connecting us to who we are. And that's why I'd humbly recommend dancing for the Lord, especially on Gopunim. Normally, you know, I like to make an exercise, but that's not today. That would be nicely on Friday. Especially, I know more ladies are coming, at least 4 or 5 Matajis will be there for Gopunim. And also we will have the congregational devotees here. That's a challenge, Esa, what do you think? To really truly dance with the Lord and to feel His reciprocation. Yeah, super. Amrita? We hide her office keys. Wow. Oh, then we will never get you up here. The 2 ecstatic places during a festival is in the kitchen, are up here, yeah. But we will find a time, because we drag Narahari, Suchitra, Nandimuga also dance. You also dance, Mataji? You also, yeah? She's a Harinam party. So it doesn't stop with age. You know, some people say with the knees and this doesn't stop. Huh? I saw also one time Mother Umila Devi Dasi. Huh? She, sort of older in white like this. And then the kirtan began and she was hopping. It was like, wow. And she smiled so sweetly like a child. Huh? This is really amazing that this transcendental dance is not restricted for a few of us, but for many. And I have to say, as I get a little bit older, I get a bit shyer with dancing. Don't want to make a spectacle, but I try to think, actually, what am I shy about? This is the movement of Lord Chaitanya, of Nityananda. Just need a partner in crime sometimes to dance with the Lord. And to center oneself.
I like to dance, from girl on I was dancing. But my parents got very angry when I was dancing because in the Western world, people don't understand it around you and they think you want to attract men. So this dancing, when I was a child, my dad was like, stop, because he thought you're going to discos and dance. And dancing in the Western world is like the Mataji sometimes dance to attract the Prabhus. So in that way, it was restricted at home, although he knew that it's a divine act, But to protect us, me and my sisters, he didn't want us to dance very much. When we went to feast, Nauta, feast, marriage, then he told us not to dance. He said the man will watch and then kind of, they see that as lusty, that's lusty and you wanna catch a man and something like that. So I was kind of restricted in something which is so natural to me. So once I was grown up, I just started to explode. Do you recognize this a little bit?
I come from Gujarati background, yes. And actually, yeah, and it was for me in London, the two different bands. So the Indians in that time, but it changed, and so to say Western English. But my mum danced for 4 hours, and then I was born. So this was my beginning. Huh? She danced for 9 days, and on Gura Puja Day, she danced, no stopping. So I came in this mood out. And the dancing, as I was a child, as young as, who do we have? Like Gayatri, maybe it began. And these garbas began, and they were very, very big at that time in London. 500 people every night for 12 days. And there would be a picture of Radha Krishna, there also Durga, and we would dance in this circle. And it was very... you had to know the moves to dance like this. There was no contact, and it was a certain way, and it became faster and faster in one sense, but it was always within a limit. Mostly it was ladies who danced, some were Prabhu. So it was, I don't want to say it was pure, but it was nobody fought anything. Later on, there became a younger crowd, which wasn't so nice in that way. But there was as I grew up, this was my first real experience of dancing. It was dancing for the Lord. And somehow as a child, I would always go to the middle because, the outer crowd, it was really, you could really, if you're not exactly in time and in movement, you get trodden on, or pushed down. So you have this, but also in the middle, you could take darshan of the Lord. And as I was dancing, I would meditate on the Lord as I went round the column. I remember this sort of in an innocent way. And then later, of course, London, Amsterdam, you have the social way, parties, clubs like this. So probably it was very nice that your father was trying to protect you. My parents were quite naive or innocent. They didn't really know what was waiting or there, or So, but I definitely experienced that world, and it is different in that aspect that you see. That's the material element, yeah. When you're there on show and you're on part, which I also engaged in, but it was very much different when it became Harinam. We have to say sometimes when I was young and I was dancing, even in a temple room, I don't know if I can say, but you attract the wrong attention, huh? So some people would say, oh, they'd come, oh, you're dancing so nicely, how old, or like this, yeah, what's happening? So there was this element, but this is a point where one can choose, this is a natural element where none of us are pure soul, so we mix it, and especially the other side. And this is where I learned that I try, when we're dancing, it goes big, it's very much nice to be lost in the crowd of Mataji, so in that group where you look over, the Prabhus are also entertaining, the ladies are dancing. Subtly it is like this. If the Prabhus are not ecstatically dancing, then I also don't go too much into it. It's the subtle things, It's more for my own protection, not that anyone says or it's no rules, but just that you wait, and at some moments the kirtan begins. I have to say, sometimes I can't help it. It just happens. My Guru Maharaj sometimes would say to me, in Germany we're a little bit like stayed, and this is younger years. He said, I will get the Prabhus dancing. When I give a signal, you begin with on the ladies' side. And in this moment, it was just, as you're trying as a service also to generate, and then you see without forcing, that naturally it's very difficult to also to naturally try to encourage people, that they don't also feel that they have to, but they want. There are many subtleties to it. Actually, when one dances, it's not that one can just say, just begin. If you, like I say, if you're shy, you have to be like, okay, now I do it for the Lord, it's okay. And then one puts that aside and thinks, okay, Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, let's just see what happens. You begin a little like this, and then one begins, and one also can say, oh, protect me that I don't dance in a way where anyone feels funny or untoward. Once I don't know if I tell this embarrassing story. This is slightly embarrassing. I was teaching the ladies to dance a little bit downstairs, just some moves, and then I said, we come upstairs for Gora Aarti, and we do it. And there's often, it's the turn, which is difficult, like if you haven't learnt it, to pick it up, so I did the turn, and I whacked someone on this side of the room, and I was like, oh no, this is what one doesn't want to do, in such a way. But on the other side of it, aside from this, it was actually not a big touch. It's easier to dance on this side in a way. I don't know in the future, because it is like this, but what can you do? It was made in this way. I think the main part is, at least for, before I had children, I could come at one time in the day, I would try to dance for the Lord. So it might be for Mangal Aarti. I was Mangal Aarti dancer. Me and Kishori could, now she's also got older. One time, the only time I managed was with Eva, and she was looking at me. She said, Gopi, Gita begins to dance now, like in the morning. But all, after, often the nicest, especially when gurus are here, after deity greet, Prabhupada Puja at that time, or Gora Aarti. I used to have like one time where I would do. It begins like this. Maybe we try. We also said maybe once a week at least we try to gather and dance in this way. Dance for the Lord, yes. The way of and also in this week particularly, remember this was Lord Chaitanya's way, chanting and dancing. Even if they thought he was mad, even if they thought, let it be our offering to the Lord. Those things do Yulia. What do you think, Yulia? You like the idea? Yeah. Nice. What?
Yeah, like Yuya was telling me like a few days back, that in the temple in Kiev, sometimes they had 500-600 people for Sunday program. That's a lot.
And were they dancing?
Yeah. I saw a video. It was like big crowd, and everybody was going like this. It was really impressive. And I imagine like this weekly. That's like.
I went only in US to Sankirtana program because I had only one experience. But yeah, in Ukraine, we have Maha Harinam one time a year, like huge, all devotees, few thousands come out to the street. Also, what else? Yeah, in every Sunday program, we dance, but because there are so much devotees, we have Gurukula and some classes, dancing classes for kids, for girls, and art classes, some Vaishnavas classes we have. So yeah, it's very, it's a main topic for us. Go outside, dance, distribute books, and making programs at temple, like for example, it's dance and drama. And yeah, it's like number one, we build a stage, and one of drama was like so become famous that many cities who is non-devotees started to invite us to show the drama. It's go like this, yeah, very far.
It's amazing how when one begins and how when one puts really so much love and attention inside it, it can go to another direction. Also in London, I don't know about now, but the theatre that I think Prabhupada created in Bhaktivedanta Manor, they began a theatre group called Bhaktivedanta Players, I think Bhaktivedanta Players, and they were also very famous. They were also invited, I think, either by the Queen or the Prime Minister to dance and to perform in front of them. Like a dance theatre group. Yeah, it's amazing, huh? Like one begins. And also, like imagine if somebody said, what do you know about Munich? Yeah, the dancing of the Lord. Yeah, they're always there. Amazing. They came. Like in London, I was a shock when I went from London, where if you're on the streets, people up in their buildings, they wave at you, you know? You wave and they wave. But in Munich, until they, I waved. And then sometimes the child would wave back, but it was very different mood than in other places. And I thought, maybe it's just they're just not used to it. Most people think if you're out doing something, you want something from them. But I get it now in London. It's they're just dancing for the Lord, They're dancing and they're happy. Let's join them. Yeah. I make it so. Can we put it on your plan, Amrita? On the market, you went on Harinam. Okay.
And when we didn't go next week, and after we said, hey,
where were you? They sometimes say that in Passau. Yeah, they say because there used to be more devotees here. We have quite a lot now, but more. So actually, we have quite a lot, but out there. And now it comes back in. Oh yeah, we're used to you being there. The funniest Harinam I went to was, GBC, Dina Sharmataji was here. She said, okay, let's go on the Harinam. And, but we said most people somehow didn't have transportation, or she said, okay, we will go in a local area. I think it was her idea. And we went on Harinam just around here. There was almost no people. And the cows and the horses were so ecstatic. I've never seen them jump and dance like that ever before or again. They were following us like everything, and we were amazed, and we really kept going. And I thought they are also souls. They have been born in the holy Dham, the holy land of Simhachalam they go. But we worked for quite some time on this Harinam. It was but really, wow, they were really running across the fields to greet us, these cows. And so, yeah, they can be joined in every direction. Harinam. Nice, so it's time that we humbly end. Thank you very much. I hope this topic was somehow of interest. I basically just wanted to highlight an aspect which is actually very important to our spiritual lives and shouldn't be. Sometimes I have a habit, a little bit of a habit in my life when you think it's not so important, you go, yeah, okay, it's not so important. But this is what I wanted to highlight, that actually dancing is a very, as Mataji said, an aspect of our devotional life and part of our sadhana and our offering to the Lord. And there's no problem if we feel happy afterwards. Be happy in spiritual life. Right? Hare Krishna. Oopsie. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki